What's up, Haunters? Today we're talking about the worst Spirit Halloween animatronic ripoff, so let's get started. And first of all, here we've got a ripoff of the fenced-in high-voltage zombie, and here, of course, is the ripoff. Now, for this ripoff, I do appreciate how it's not fully a ripoff. They did steal the idea of having it fenced in and everything, but they did at least somewhat change the design of the zombie. But still, they did a pretty bad job at trying to copy this animatronic. Like, looking at the fence feature, it doesn't really look that good. It's only covering half of his body, and it looks very cheaply made and just out of place. It also doesn't really make much sense having it float in the air if it's supposed to be a fence. Overall, they just didn't really think this animatronic through at all. And overall, it's not the worst ripoff ever, but it's still not the best, and that's why it's on today's list. And moving on, the next ripoff I was able to find for all of you today is one of the Arctic Dragon, and here, of course, is the ripoff. Now, a couple positives about the ripoff is I think the head design is really well done. I do also like the detail on the wings there. But overall, they did a terrible job on the proportions for this guy. It's all off and just does not look good. And understand a bit why the proportions are really off on this guy. It's because they want to make him this big 6-foot animatronic, but they also want to reuse the same mech they use for every prop. But honestly, it did not work out well for this guy, and they really should have just made a smaller tabletop version of it. And whoever's idea was to give this guy arms just really messed up. If you've seen the original version of this animatronic, he doesn't have arms, he just has legs. And if you look at any dragon out there, they never really have arms, they have more legs. So these arms of this guy just look really weird and really out of place. So overall, they sort of tried to make a good ripoff of the Arctic Dragon, but it didn't work, and that's why it's on today's list. And moving on, next up here, we've got a new version of the Nightcrawler ripoff. If you remember, it's about a year or two ago, there was this ripoff of the Nightcrawler animatronic. And now for 2024, they made a new version of it, which of course is a clown version. And here, of course, is that ripoff. In this new ripoff version of Nightcrawler, they didn't change too much about it. They still kept the same head and just body design. But they did add some face paint on there onto the head to make it look more like a clown. And the clothing there, they did give it this red and black stripes. And looking at this new ripoff, I don't really think it's that much better over the old one. I don't know, it looks a little bit weird for them to reuse that similar face and just paint it like a clown. And the clothing design is a little bit weird. Anyways, I feel like it would have been a better choice for them to not just reuse this animatronic ripoff and instead to do something different for this clown theme prop. But anyways, he's not that great, and that's why he's on today's list. And next up here, we've got a ripoff of one of my favorite animatronics known as the Limb-Eating Zombie Boy. And here, of course, is the ripoff. And for this ripoff, they didn't really copy the look of the animatronic, but they did copy the animation and sort of the whole point of the animatronic. And the animation of this ripoff, just like the real animatronic, just consists of it eating this arm. Both of them are also in these very similar poses where they're both sort of crouching down on the ground. Now again, with this one, I appreciate how they gave the character a bit of a different design so they didn't fully copy it. But still, for this animatronic, they did copy that animation and sort of pose and everything. So overall, this one definitely a better ripoff we've seen, but still not the greatest. And finally, here I have one bonus animatronic ripoff to show you. This ripoff here is sort of a Party City animatronic, but also of a movie character. Right here, of course, we have a ripoff of the Georgie animatronic. So for this ripoff here, even though it's not licensed, they pretty clearly just ripped it off straight from the movie and the animatronic. He, of course, is wearing that same sort of yellow raincoat, is missing the one arm, and has that creepy little boy face. Anyways, it also just looks very cheaply made and is definitely not one of the best ripoffs out there, and is definitely a good one to end off today's video. And with all that said, everyone, that's gonna finish it for today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy. As always, everything I said in today's video is my own opinions. I feel like all of these are ripoffs. If you don't agree and you think some of them are not ripoffs, then obviously you can have your own opinion. Anyways, that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.